That's impressive, man. I feel like a lot of, especially collegiate student athletes, whether they're recent graduates or they're still in college, have failed to find that routine since things have stopped. And I think that's, the big difference between, I think, the good players and the great ones. They've been able to kind of maintain that sense of normal and continue to develop. So that's pretty impressive that you're doing that. I think for you, where does that kind of sense of discipline come from?
I just feel like it definitely came recently, playing under Coach DeLuca, just kind of trying to continue that culture and that way of life that we were living up at Delaware. Just kind of, we like to start the day together as a team and end the day with practice in the afternoon. And just kind of the groove that I was getting into, I really enjoyed. I ended up being in the best shape of my life this year because I didn't have surgery for the first time. So I had a full fall ball to start training most of all the winter and then somewhat of the spring. Obviously, it got cut short, but I just kind of liked the routine I was in. I liked the routine we were doing, and it just kind of stuck with me. And I didn't want to get out of whack in a sense, so I just decided to keep it going and just kind of sticking to what we were doing.
That's great, man. Well, I feel like since we've known you for a while, right? We've gotten a chance to, cover you when you were in high school at Farmingdale, which we'll talk about in a minute. I know you helped coach in our program and develop some of our players, and especially our goalies, which is great. And we always knew how good of a player you would be, just based on what we observed and getting a chance to know you. But I think over the last few years, I think the whole country was starting to take note of just who you were as a person and a player, and it was really great to see you get recognized for your success. And now, of late, you get drafted, and now you're going to become a professional lacrosse player, which is awesome. Do you mind kind of taking us back a little bit and talk about your lacrosse journey and kind of where it all started? Because I think people know about who you are now, but maybe don't necessarily know about kind of where it all started for you.
Yeah, of course. So, like you said, I'm a graduate of Farmingdale High School, class of 2016. I grew up playing lacrosse just like a typical Long Island kid. Started when I was very, very young. My older brother played goalie, so I took that position up, just trying to fill his footsteps, and I ended up loving it so much. Really just continued from there. Delaware was actually my first college look, and I was their first recruit. So I kind of took that with some pride. Like when other schools weren't interested in me at the time of my high school career, they still gave me that opportunity because they saw something in me. And to that point, I did ended up going through my junior year and senior year of high school, being an All-American. I did open up my commitment then, but I decided to go back to Delaware and Coach Shills just because they were the first one to see what kind of success and potential I could bring to the program, and I couldn't go against that, man. They saw something in me early on, so they believed in me. I couldn't turn my back to them, so I ended up committing to the University of Delaware, which was hands down the best decision of my life. Was able to progress as a goaltender under some incredible goalie coaches and head coaches. Just overall staff in general that we've had at Delaware was amazing, and kind of took me to this point in my career where I'm lucky enough to say I was drafted in the PLL, and now I'm a professional lacrosse player.
That's great, man. What was your experience like in high school? Take us through what it was like growing up in Farmingdale, and what was like maybe a memory for you that stands out as you kind of move through to this next chapter of your life.
Yeah, obviously I had Coach Dunn, which I know some of you viewers are familiar with. Coach Dunn was part main success on the defensive end because he really helped me on game. Con defense. I mean, he was putting in defensive concepts in high school that we were running in college. So just that level of lacrosse that we were introduced with at such a young age just helped so much. And from that point on, I think one memory I would say it kind of ties high school and college together. We were running some sort of man down at Farmingdale High School. We were running like five in a string or some sort of man down like that. And I remember my freshman year, our coach putting it in and like kids not under like seniors, juniors not understanding what it was. And just to be able to understand that, knowing that I learned that in high school, just taught me that I knew I came from a great place of lacrosse where people cared about our success and our progress at a young age, and that's what really helped, I think, progress me to the next level.
Absolutely. And I think for you, what's interesting, as you kind of go from being a very prepared goalie and lacrosse player at the high school level and transitioning into college, a lot of times kids don't understand how much you can really grow and develop and how things can change when you do get to college as well. So like for you, you didn't have the same head coach during your 4 years, which, a lot of guys, they have that luxury and they get that consistency and they get, the feel and the understanding of how the program's run. For you, what was it like to deal with going and being a part of a program in college where you had two kind of different types of personalities and people and guys with different experience kind of leading your college program?
Yeah, it was definitely different, and I think being a freshman under Shills and only having 1 year under one type of coach and then going into 3 years with Coach DeLuca made it a little easier. I think guys that were a little bit older, used to the way Coach Shillinglaw did things, struggled to adapt a little bit. But being a freshman, only having 1 year, I kind of got a feel for things, but I wasn't comfortable yet. And I think just that switch up right there kind of helped being young. But at the same time, I mean, the change was great. Coach Shillinglaw was one of the best coaches that I've ever had, but Coach DeLuca came in, I mean, just hungry for a CAA championship right away and just changed our culture immediately for the better and got guys on board that actually wanted to be there. And playing under Coach DeLuca was a phenomenal experience. I can't say enough good things about him and the staff. I mean, they just want every player on that roster to be the best they can be, and they truly make it a great experience at that university. But the changeover wasn't obviously easy. It was definitely different, but I think it was different for the better, and that's kind of what got me along 100% committed and the rest of my team.
At what point did you feel as though like, hey, I might have a shot or I might have the desire to play professional lacrosse?
It kind of didn't hit me at first. I honestly just thought, hey, I had some success at the high school level, and for me, I just wanted to play college lacrosse. Like that was the goal at the time. I just wanted to step on the field and just represent the University of Delaware. I think after my junior year, when I had some real success, I was an honorable mention All-American, and I think at that point something clicked. Like, hey, I think if I take my game to the next level, which I knew I was capable of, but I just had to get my mind and body right. If I could do that, I think I could really do this thing and play at the next level. And I think that junior year, after junior year, going into my senior year, I think that's what kind of changed. I started really taking the mental part and the physical part, getting my body in better shape, doing better things after my surgeries to keep me healthy, so I'm not on the sideline during fall ball like I was the previous 2 years. That's what kind of clicked, is like I could do this thing, and then I think ultimately once that kind of clicked, I was like, that's like I got chills down my back. I was just like, to say I'm a professional athlete would be a pretty cool thing to do. So that's what I kind of just got to work and said, like, we're gonna make this lacrosse thing work no matter what it takes, and it ended up paying off.
You mentioned how your senior year was kind of the 1 year where you felt 100%. You were healthy, no surgeries, experiencing adversity that goes along with physical injuries. Obviously, it affects you mentally. How'd you get through that? How'd you persevere? And how'd you get to a point where you kind of feel as though now you're in the best shape of your life and you're about to become, and you are, a professional lacrosse player?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I feel for the people who go through surgeries and really tough injuries that take you out for a long period of time. It's really hard to stay dialed in, stay focused, and continue to progress when you feel like you're not supposed to because you're post surgery. But I give all that credit to Coach DeLuca, who was just there for me every step of the way. Just all positive feedback. All he wanted to do was get me back on the field, and then of course our athletic training staff at Delaware truly was just amazing. I mean, they put me first, which I've never felt like that before. But when they take care of you, I mean, they take care of you at Delaware. And I was getting great athletic training. I was going to UDPT, which is our physical therapy school, which is actually separate from the university. It's a grad school there, but it's like the number one PT school in the country. So when they sent me over there, I mean, it was a luxury. I was getting worked on by some of the best physical therapists. I mean, and that sort of care that they were showing me put into my head like, hey, I need to pay this back. I need to work my butt off so that I can get back on the field and make these people proud that are spending so much time taking care of me.
That's great, man. Well, we're glad you're healthy. It's really cool, where you're moving on to next. And you get drafted by the PLL Water Dogs, new team, some fresh faces. There's some guys that have been to the PLL already, that were on other teams. And there's obviously some guys like you that are just entering professional lacrosse. For you, obviously you want to make your mark and you want to continue to compete at a high level and take your game to the next level. How are you preparing for the PLL Championship Series that's set to kind of take way in late July, which is, for people that don't know, 2-week quarantine, tournaments that's gonna go off, and it's gonna be really, really cool. Even though it's fanless, I think there's a lot of people that can still watch and tune in and connect in other ways. But how are you preparing for that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a different time of preparing and not what I thought I'd be doing. But I mean, I'm making it work to my fullest ability. I'm getting after it in the mornings, just all hand-eye coordination stuff that I can do on my own, and stuff that, my girlfriend's dad can help me with where I'm staying, or just something I could do with one person or nobody. And honestly, right now, I'm trying to, what I've been working on a lot is just going back to the basics, simple hand-eye coordination drills, simple footwork drills, all just hand stuff, all stuff where I see shots about once a week, but really just focusing on the basics so that I know when I get back on that field, my basics are as sharp as can be. And then I can start playing like fun lacrosse where I'm doing some stuff in cage that, takes a little more talent or takes a little more things to do. But right now I've just been grinding on the basics and grinding on my body. I started doing some yoga, some stretching, just things that are controllable right now in a situation which is uncontrollable in our society.
That's great. You got to send some videos of your at home drills. I know you shared one where you were like doing some tennis ball work in the driveway. That was one of the better drills I saw out there on social. So please share. There's a lot of goalies that are now looking to be looking up to you even more now that you're in the PLL. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually one of my favorite drills. Coach Fosner, our Delaware goalie coach, alumni at Delaware, just a terrific goalie, even better coach, I think. He actually introduced that to me. We love using a tennis racket, and that's what I was trying to stress. That inconsistent release that you get does make it a little harder to save, and then you just work on your hand speed and that hand-eye coordination. So I get a lot of my goalie drills from him, but I'll for sure make sure to share every one of them. Just giving people ideas on what to do and how to get better when in a situation where you would say like it's tough to get better at this point.
Now, what's interesting about the PLL is like each team has kind of created its own identity, and they've done that through maybe how they market themselves, or maybe the style of coaches that they hire, the players that they draft, etc. You're now part of the Water Dogs Lacrosse Club. What does that mean to you? Is there a certain identity that you feel as though you kind of, that you personally feel as though you align with this club? Or is that not necessarily something that's a priority or you think about? I'm just kind of curious how, from a player's perspective, you think about the club that you've been drafted to and the team that you're going to play on.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I've definitely thought about it, and I know some of the PLL Water Dog mantra has been every game's a revenge game for those guys who got picked up in the expansion draft, kind of going back and playing their old squad that they played on last year. And honestly, I took that like I loved it every second of the way because playing at Delaware, we're a top 25, right outside that rankings kind of team, and just kind of people overlooking us and people saying like, oh, like they're beatable, like that's a lose-lose game, or for some of the the higher ranked teams that we would play, they kind of get overlooked. And I want every game to be a revenge game because that's how I felt playing in college. I felt everybody would step on the field and expect to beat us and expect to score on me. So I love the fact that we're a first-year team. I hope people are trying to overlook the Water Dogs because, I mean, every guy on the team that is definitely working hard. And we got something to prove, and that's what I think I love the most about it is like we have no history. We're making history from now on. So that's what I think I love the most.
That's great, man. And speaking of making history, I mean, first Delaware lacrosse player to be drafted in the PLL. What does that mean to you to be that first guy?
Oh, it's an unreal feeling. When my name got called, I didn't even care about seeing my name on TV. I cared more about seeing the University of Delaware just because over 4 years of my career, like the ultimate goal of a college athlete is to help put your school on the map. And just to see the University of Delaware pop up, see some highlights of my teammates on the field with me. I mean, it's an unreal feeling because I wouldn't be here without them. So it was more important for me to see the University of Delaware on TV rather than my name, just because I feel like I've helped out put that school on the map. And Coach DeLuca is doing an unreal job bringing in these 5-star recruits, these really good players. And if I can contribute to that in just the littlest bit by putting our name the screen when the PLO draft happens. I mean, it's an unreal feeling. I can't thank the University of Delaware enough. I mean, I just hope it's some sort of a payback for the awesome experience they've given me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think where professional lacrosse is going and what the PLL has done, it's going to help tremendously. You know, there's I was looking on like the Water Dogs Instagram account. There's over 40,000 people already following. You guys haven't played a single game yet, you know, in the history of the franchise. And the fact that you have that big of a social following is really cool, and it just kind of is a testament to the future, I think, of the sport and to professional lacrosse. So now you being drafted is a big deal, and I really hope more of your teammates get drafted, because one trend that was intentional and existed over the past year in the Premier League is, you know, a lot of star players from particular colleges kind of stick together and play on those same teams when they get to college. So I think for you to have your best defenseman in front of you that you played with for, let's say, 2 or 3 years is only going to help the Water Dogs, because you guys know one another, you have the same language, you know, you guys can kind of work together throughout the week and stay in touch and get stuff done. So I think it's really cool what what you're doing for the school, and it's really cool what the Premier Lacrosse League does too, just to connect and keep the college players that were stars connected at the next level. Let's talk about you personally again for a sec here. Just physically, you stand at over 6'6", which is super uncommon for a lacrosse player. I mean, if I was talking to a guy in the NBA, you know, you're kind of in that range of where guys are supposed to be, but a little different for a lacrosse player. For you, what's it like being that size on the field, and maybe how has it helped you? How have you felt like it's maybe posed a challenge for you? I'm just kind of curious, you know, what that's been like.
Yeah, definitely. I for one think it's helped me more than anything. I just I love it because I think this it allows me to play such a variety of goalie styles all in one, which has just brought my game, I feel like, to the next level. Which I can't. Coach Fosner at Delaware. I mean, we just every day, our typical day, we just bring in things that we see other goalies do and try to add it to my game. And being 6'6", I was able to play a little bit wider of a stance, take up a little more goal in tight, take up just space and cage, but at the same time use like the quick hands that I had to copy a little of those more small explosive goaltenders. But I mean, my size has just helped me more than it's hurt me, definitely. And I think my style of play is giving kids hope that maybe get stuck on defense because, oh, you're tall, you deserve a pole, or oh, go down on attack, you're too tall, you can't run, stuff like that. Like just giving a different look at what the typical goalie looks like. You know, just you don't really see a taller goalie like this. And for me, it definitely helped because for me, when I was growing up, I looked at guys like Tyler White, who was a rival, obviously, at Towson. But when I was in high school, he was a very good goalie at Towson. And I looked at him. I think he stood almost 6'3" or something like that, 6'4" even. He was a bigger guy. And just looking at someone like that and being like, hey, like if he can do it, like I could definitely, like, let's go, like I can do this. And then looking at guys
Sure.
like Dylan Ward, who's a little bit taller, and some of those taller guys, and just being like, hey, it gives that small range of kids that happen to be tall for their size hope to play a different position. Like a lot of people don't like trying out goalie, but you never know who's watching at what time, and just to give that different variety of a look is really important to me and helping grow the game, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I was going to ask who are some of the guys. So true. When you see someone that you can relate to, both a perspective, you know, maybe from a play perspective, motivates you to be like, hey, like, you know, I want to be like that guy. I want to play at that level one day. You know, I think it's something that's inspiring. It's motivating, and it's great to have that type of mentor. For you, what's like next? You know, obviously you're drafted and you're going to be playing professionally, which is a great opportunity. A lot of guys that are in the league, though, they do other things. You know, they might stay involved in the lacrosse world. You know, even though they're considered professional lacrosse players, they might, you know, pick up some branding deals. They might also play indoor lacrosse. They might, you know, maybe coach college. You know, they might do something completely outside the world of lacrosse. For you, what's that future kind of looking like in your professional career?
Yeah. So right now, I have plans to move to Florida, and I have a job with an alumni down there. So I'm definitely going to start that. But my interests are definitely still staying in the lacrosse world. There's nothing else that I want to do more than just help out and help grow the game. And honestly, I think I have an amazing opportunity having a job with an alumni down in Florida because Florida is one of those up and coming states, they're getting very good. Like, so the talent that's coming out of Florida is really starting to grow. And to be able to help grow the game down where some people still don't even know the sport of lacrosse, like it's still a thing in some parts of Florida where they don't know the game. And just to be able to have that opportunity down there and use what I know and have some connections through the league to help grow the game down there. I mean, I plan on staying completely involved, even outside of the season, to camps, clinics, just whatever I can get my hands on in the lacrosse world. Just try and help out as much as I can, because at the end of the day, I feel like, especially in the PLL, it's just we're just trying to grow the game. We want to become a sport that everybody knows, just because of our love for it, and just because we know how much fun and entertaining it can actually be, and just having that drive right there to just be like, hey, I'm gonna play the game, but I'm also gonna grow the game. That drive right there is gonna push me to do some different things, some coaching, whatever it is. Just trying to get my hands and feet into the lacrosse world as well down there.
Awesome. Well, Matt, we're really excited for your recent success, the opportunity you have in front of you with the Premier Lacrosse League, and we appreciate your time coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. I loved being with you guys. Happy to just come on whenever you need and just talk lax. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, us too, man. We do it at nauseum. Our producer Cliff could attest to that. Who you got a chance to talk to a little bit. Now, before we kind of end our conversation here, where can people kind of follow your career as well as the professional team that you're now on in the Water Dogs?
Definitely on Instagram. I would say I'm definitely more active of. I posted a couple of videos of me training, so definitely follow me on Instagram at Matt DeLuca2. The number might have to change if I end up with a different number. That's my number from high school. So, but definitely Instagram I'm most active on. But follow me on everything. Twitter. I love responding back. I get a bunch of DMs just asking for drills, tips. I mean, I'll respond back to anybody who DMs me if you want any sort of help. I love helping and just spreading the game of lacrosse, but more importantly, growing the game of being a goalie and just what kind of mindset it takes and what kind of brotherhood we have. I mean, all goalies are together. There's no one out there alone.
That's great, man. I appreciate it, Matt. We look forward to continuing to promote you and follow you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Pleasure being on. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
You too.